Okay, in terms of the women's movement and the feminist projects, I would first like to start with saying that I have worked as a feminist for a decade in Berlin. I've worked in several feminist projects. I'm the co-founder of BIG, Berliner Intervention gegen Gewalt gegen Frauen. I have spoken at the parliament many times, so I've really done a lot of work, okay? So, and I felt always like, for me, Berlin is like my adopted Heimat. And it's very interesting, as I went back to Turkey, and I was activist in the feminist movement, of course I thought we would work very, very much in cooperation with feminist organizations in Turkey, or like Friedrich Ebert, whatever, Stiftungen, and etc., or with the politicians, with the parliament. Karin has also worked with me. She's also a feminist in Women for Women with Us in Turkey. We were shocked how much, there was no interest at all. Or not even from the feminist projects or from the Greens, the Green Party. First, I was working with the Green Party in terms of activism as I was in Berlin. First, the lack of interest in the feminist movement. The second is the degree of ignorance and not accepting that there's a strong feminist movement in Turkey. Like Ebru said, even the intellectuals are clinging to, it's like Pakistan. Women's situation is very bad in Turkey. And when you say, no, that's not true, there is a very strong feminist movement in Turkey. And I'm sorry, but much stronger than the one in Germany in the last decade. And they just look like you as if, with a block. It's like the curtains go down. So as long as, for me, it was, I was very hurt. I felt like I was betrayed. I felt very much betrayed by my adopted country in this. And it's very interesting when you compare, I worked at the international level. It's very interesting. You can't imagine the interest in the Turkish feminist movement from the United Kingdom, from the United States, from Italy, whatever. And Germany is special. So what I'm trying to say is, as long as that is not known here, because if the Germans insist on looking on women in Turkey as victims, then you can't do anything. First of all, there must be a realization that there's a very strong feminist movement which has had immense gains in the last 2 decades. So it's those gains which are being threatened now. And of course, more so in the Kurdish, in the Turkish Kurdistan, because because of the socioeconomic situation, not because of culture, okay? Not because, it's the opposite. I think the Kurdish culture has now become very open to feminism. But because of the socioeconomic situation, the women have less education, less money, and etc. in Kurdistan, the Erdogan is now taking the feminists, I'm an example, as terrorists. Now we're also terrorists. All feminists are also, whoever he doesn't like and he hates feminists are all terrorists, okay? So there's a huge threat. It's not only the journalism and etc. So that's what I would like to, but we can talk more about it later.
I just wanted to add, because the Turkish correspondents are almost male, so they don't know the feminist movement since then. Like in the 70s, 80s, they were all men, and they didn't get any news from the feminist movement because they were not interested, And so the Turkish movement, the female movement, or the feminist movement in Turkey was not in Germany so present. And also here, because the feminist movement here in Germany, I think you know it better, was totally separated from the Turkish feminist movement, and they didn't let them in. So you can't know their struggle if you don't work together.
I just wanted to repeat, they didn't want to. We tried, okay? But there was a resistance, even from my feminist German friends. Like, they didn't want to take it as a reality, okay? Would you like to say something on this point, Fiona?
Yeah, I can. So you said about the Kurdish women's movement. I would like to add something there. I think it's pretty progressive, what they did or still do, and I think it's not that they stopped, although the KEJA, the Free Congress, Congress of Free Women, and all the smaller organizations are being shut down and financially like closed, and they took away their offices and buildings, and like or transformed former educational institutions for women into something else, like, I don't know, in Van they changed it to a Quran school. So it's, although they are like facing so many different like restrictions and like threats, and they still move on. So they just build new platforms, and they try to, what I've seen, they are focusing on really like local Stadtteil, what is it, city parts, works where they meet together, and they try to still help each other, and it's been even growing stronger, although the repression goes up as well. So it's yeah, what I've seen so far, and also I've seen that in the western part, in Hatay, for example, there are like big parts. I met Mordayanishma, which is like a smaller feminist group, and also the Campus Kadaladı, which is a really, yeah, quite aggressive feminist group at universities who are exposing male violence at the campus, and they sometimes just beat the people up, but they also make like lots of information meetings, and like, I don't know, but they do really good work, and they have like lots of topics they can talk about, and they do it, and they are yeah, they're still doing it. So I think it's not like as hopeless as it might have sounded, that they are thrown back 10 years. Because, I mean, yeah, maybe they were thrown back, but 10 years ago it was still also a strong women movement. So maybe we can agree on this.
No, let me explain why, in terms of what has happened, why their gains are gone. With the political oppression, suppression, not only in terms of imprisonment, etc. The AKP government has so many subtle mechanisms which is not at all known in Turkey. So through all that, especially in the Kurdish regions now at the moment, you just can't do any kind of activism, okay? So, and also now 12 years of AKP government, they are doing they have done everything so that the atmosphere, the political atmosphere will become more and more and more religious conservative in Turkey. So they are doing their best. They have all the funds to go on with the Quran schools, with their own media. They own 90% of the media. The government owns the media. I mean, not on paper, but it's actually the truth. So they are doing this religious conservatism at its top, whereas they're just cutting off the voices of all critical voices against it. That's what I mean, why the women in Van think that their gains are going. I mean, so it's becoming a Van voice, the voice of religious conservatism. It's not only in terms of oppression, but this is also another agenda of AKP. That's why they think their gains are going. And by the way, it's not only that. I mean, for information, we've had huge legal reforms in Turkey, in terms of the civil law, in terms of the penal code, and so on. And it's on Erdogan's agenda to change them all back. I mean, there's also threat in terms of national threat.